Hello and welcome to another Stamp with Amy K Facebook Live. And today I'm going to show you how I made a card and a gift bag with the Wonderful World Stamp Set bundle. It's a little different bundle. It's from Celebration, which is coming up and starting on July 1st. This will be available for everyone as an option to get for free with an order of $100 or greater. So this is a bundle that is a stamp set and designer series paper, which is a little different than a typical Stampin' Up! Bundle. But it's really, really pretty. The paper is beautiful, and so is the stamp set. So again, this is one of those items that will be available for free with an order of $100 or greater during Celebration starting on the 1st of July. So good morning. Thanks for joining early today. Vicki and Carol and Bree and Elise is here as well. So glad y'all are joining today. So this is what we're making. They're actually both pretty simple, but still wanted to show you, like I said, the paper and the stamp set really do all of the work on these. So super, super easy. So this is the card. Just a little layering on it, a little bit with a blending brush on it. And then, hey, Heidi and Trudy, thanks for joining. And then this is one of the embossed treat bags, which the treat bag is actually from the annual catalog. And I'm going to tilt it a little bit here on the screen, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to catch the embossing maybe. The lighting is so hard, but it's embossed. It's got little lines embossed on it, so it's a really pretty bag. The bag measures about 6.5 by about 4 3/4, and it's about an inch and a half deep. So it's a gusseted bag. Lots of cute little things will fit in here, treats, gifts, whatever you want to put in it. So just made these together, and I'll show you how I did it. Hey, Bonnie, and and Trudy, I guess I already said hello to you. Thanks for joining today. I appreciate you being here. Okay, so this is the stamp set. Again, this is the Wonderful World Stamp Set Bundle, and let me grab the designer paper. It is bundled with a huge 12 by 12 pack, and I'm not going to pull it all out and show you because you can see it in the Celebration catalog, but it's beautiful paper, 12 by 12 pack, one of the standard size ones that Stampin' Up! Has. So these are bundled together, and you get both. You can choose these as your free option for Celebration with an order of $100 or greater. Hey, Kay, and Corinne, it looks like Debbie's here as well, so thanks for joining. All right, let me get the paper out of the way, and a couple other things that I used on this. I have got the Very Best Occasion stamp set, and that is the one that I used here for the sentiment, and we used it there's a sentiment on the inside as well, and this is another one of the new items from the upcoming July to December mini catalogs. And like I said, it's really pretty. It's a good stamp set. It's bundled with a punch, a corner punch, so it's a good one. Lots of good sentiments in here, general ones you can use for lots and lots of different things. So that designer paper is amazing. I do agree. So it's beautiful, beautiful. The other thing that I did use on here, and I only used the little tiny enjoy sentiment out of it, but I used the cup of tea stamp set for the little tag that I put on the bag here. So just because I thought I wanted something little and a little sentiment to put on there, and this stamp set is perfect for that. So this one is actually in the annual catalog and available right now. So hey, Linda, glad you're here and listening instead of or not listening, watching instead of listening. So all right, so a couple other things that I used on this. I used the TaylorMade Tags die, so I used the largest one of the kind of more angled as opposed to prettier and frillier. I don't know how to describe them, but the more rectangular looking one. I used the largest of those two for the tag on my bag. And then, of course, my stitched rectangle dies. I used the third largest one to cut out this panel on the card front. And one last set of dies, because of course, I can't do anything without dies. So I use these Stylish Shapes dies for the little circles on here. So it's the second smallest and the smallest that I used for the sentiment on here and for the sentiment on the bag. So, all right. One thing, hey, Diane, thanks for joining, and Marilyn. So if you haven't seen this and haven't heard about it, go now and put in an order. Don't bother listening to me. You can always watch the replay later. But go now, put your order in for free shipping from Stampin' Up! Orders of $75 or greater today only, which is Tuesday, the 21st of June. So if you're watching this later, you missed it. So get on it. Like I said, go place your order. Don't worry about watching the video. You can always watch it later. So, all right. So just wanted you all to be aware of that. You can find my website linked up out on stampwithamyk.com. So head over there. While you're there and getting your free shipping from Stampin' Up!, don't forget that the January to June 2022 mini catalog retired products items, some of them are on sale, are all available last chance while supplies last through the end of June. So today is a good day to run through your mini catalog that is retiring and make sure you've got everything you need out of it. And if you don't, get it with free shipping today. So that saves you, I mean, it's 11% or some crazy thing. So it's like $8.25 with the $75 order, and it goes up from there. So it saves you a bunch. So get on it. The other thing that Stampin' Up! Has going today, or going on through the month of June, is their kits collection, or buy one, get one 50% off. And again, you can purchase the kits from the kits collection and get free shipping on them. So even better, get your kits, buy one, get one free, and you get free shipping on them. So it doesn't get better than that. The other thing to know with the buy one, get one kits is that the more expensive one is actually the half price kit, which is sort of unusual. Normally it's the other way around. So, and then the last thing, and I swear we'll get to Stampin', is that my I almost called it holiday catalog, July to December 2022 mini catalog shares, my Designer Series paper shares, are open for joining now. So if you're interested in getting a good working sample of the Designer Series papers, all the new ones from that catalog, drop by my share page. You can find it on stampwithamyk.com. It's all linked up in my blog post today. It'll be linked up in my blog post tomorrow, and so on through the end of June. So make sure you're getting your name added to the list so that you can get a little sampling of all the pretty new papers, and you'll want them. They're all pretty. And yeah. So what I like about shares is it gives you a good working sample of everything, and then you can decide what you want to buy more of, because there are lots of good papers. Okay, let's get to Stampin'. So thanks again for everybody that is joining today. So we have got a piece of the Wonderful World Designer Series paper. And again, this is Designer Series paper that will be free, bundled together with the Wonderful World stamp set. Once Celebration starts, you'll be able to get that as one of your free items with an order of $100 or greater during the month of July and August. So that's when the second Celebration event is happening with Stampin' Up! The card base is Orchid Oasis, and my original card, I had cut it to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored it at 5 1/2 across the top, just because that's my preferred card front. But I know that many people like the book fold card, so this card will work either way. So this is an 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 piece of Orchid Oasis. Almost called it Designer Series cardstock is what I'm trying to say, not Designer Series paper. Cardstock, and it's scored at 4 1/4, so this will fit on your standard book fold card front. And I've just stuck the paper to the front of it with multi-purpose liquid glue. The next thing that I did was I went ahead and cut, again, this is the third largest of the stitched rectangles dies, and I cut a piece of basic white cardstock with that. And I'm going to go ahead and try to line it up as best I can on my grid paper here, and grab my Post-it note tape, and we're going to do a little masking. All right, so I'm trying to line this up straight, and hopefully I'm centered somewhat on the screen. And then I'm going to use my grid lines and try to mask off. See, trying. It worked slick when I did it with nobody watching, but you know. All right. It is pretty easy to do. So I'm going to mask off at 1/4 inch. So again, I'm using my grid line here and here to line up and mask off 1/4 inch on the one side. Hey, Mary Kay, glad you're here. Thanks for joining. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. So I've got my 1/4 inch line here that I'm going to line up with. And I should be able to see through, hopefully. So the grid line up here, trying to line up that 1/4 inch. And then come back here again with a longer piece. And I'm going to use the 1/4 inch line here to line up my paper. And again, I just use the Post-it note tapes. Stampin' Up! Does have masking paper, but for this project, with the way that I was lining things up, for me it was a little easier just to use the Post-it note tape so that I didn't have to cut up all that masking paper. All right, I have got Orchid Oasis ink and a blending brush. And just going to do a little bit of inking on the paper. So I'm going to start by doing the inking over here so that I don't end up with a glob of it on my project. So I'm going to do a little brushing on the scrap paper first, and then I'm just going to start and add it. And I'm going to try to keep it to the lower part of the panel and just kind of go lightly up. So I'm going to do a little bit heavier down at the bottom. And then, like I said, try to go a little lighter as it comes up to the top. And I'm not going to go all the way to the top of the die cut. And you don't really need to do tons and tons of ink on this. Hopefully you can see on my project. This is one of the darker inks, so probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 times of adding a little bit of brushed ink to it and then just brushing it up towards the top is probably going to be good for the look that I was going for. If you want it to be more heavily inked, you can definitely continue to add layers of ink on it, but I thought it just needed a little settle on the background. So the designer paper is beautiful, I do agree. All right, now I'm going to peel off my little Post-it note mask, and hopefully I've got a fairly decent looking sort of ombre effect, whatever you want to call that. Let me get those stuck somewhere so that they do not get blue ink all over, or purple ink all over everything. All right, so we've got our most of the hard work done on the card front. Got Mossy Meadow ink, and I've got the large image from the Wonderful World stamp set, and just going to ink it with Mossy Meadow ink. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to stamp it over the top of my masked panel. Whoop, there we go. And that's all there is to it. So it's really easy. And like I said, I liked the effect of it. I thought it was really pretty with just a little bit of a masked edge around it. The other way, if you don't want to do the masking on it, another way that you could do it is simply cut 2 of the rectangles and just do the blending on the smaller of the rectangle and then stamp on the smaller one and just layer them one on top of the other. You'd get the same effect, but it would just be 2 layers of paper instead of 1. All right, I'm going to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals here, and I do chop my Stampin' Dimensionals in half, which I know drives some people crazy, and some people like it and do it as well. So you can use whole dimensionals if you really like them. That's the bonus of stamping and creating, is you get to do whatever you want to do with them. So thanks, Deb. I'm glad you're liking it. Like I said, I saw they had a finally caught live, and it's from Stinking Hot, Missouri. Oh, yeek. It's actually kind of a beautiful day here. We've had a couple of nice days in a row, so I cannot complain too much about the weather in New Jersey yet. Although I'm sure as the summer goes on, I'll be grumbling about it because I'm not a person who loves heat. So, all right, so what I was trying to do with that is just try to get it centered on the card front. All right, next up, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I totally forgot to grab my heat tool. Hey, hold on. And I knew I was going to do that too. Darn it. Sorry, I tried to be organized, and I'm not. See, going live early gets me all messed up too. So, all right. All right. I think I'm ready now. I just looked over and went to reach for my heat tool. I'm like, oh, it's not here. So, all right, it is now. We're good. Okay, so I have got Versamark ink and the sentiment from the very best occasions, which again is one of the new ones. Sorry, I'm still learning all the names on them. One of the stamp sets from the upcoming July to December mini catalog, which will start on July 1st. Stamping it in Versamark ink on basic white cardstock. And then I'm going to grab my gold embossing powder. And we're just going to sprinkle it with the gold embossing powder. And try to wipe off all the extra where I made a mess of things. All right, got gold embossing powder on it. Then I'm going to grab my heat tool and we'll turn that on and get that going. So the Stampin' Up! Heat tool, you've probably heard me say this if you've listened to my videos before. Stampin' Up! Heat tool has 2 settings on it. There is a level 1 setting for drying inks. So if you're doing something like watercoloring or something like that where it may take a little bit longer for your paper to dry, you can use the level 1 setting in order to dry things a little faster. And then the level 2 setting is for heat embossing. So I'm just giving it a second to get good and hot with the level 2 setting for the heat embossing. And I'm going to turn it towards my project here. And hopefully it'll turn here. When you see it start to get shiny, and there it goes. Shiny and smooth, then you want to stop the heat embossing because you can actually burn it. And yes, I've done it before and it turns all brown and ucky and it is not pretty at all. So, all right, so there's your heat embossed sentiment, and giving it a second to cool off before I grab the die to cut it out. And I used, again, these are from the Stylish Shapes dies, and it's the second smallest of the circles. And I'm just going to go run this through my die cutting machine quick. Yeah, I'm glad I'm on in the morning today too. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it because, you know, crazy days. It's summer, and one kid has got a doctor's appointment today, so I had to schedule that around, of course, you know, when the doctor can do it. But anyhow, but it's all good. I was able to hop on. And here's my Stampin' Seal, which I thought I lost that for a second too. So I have got a little bit of the gold and vanilla satin edged 3/8 inch ribbon from the upcoming mini catalog. And again, this will be available on July 1st. And the ribbon is just beautiful. It's kind of sheer and just really pretty and sparkly. So we're going to add a little bit of that underneath the sentiment here on the card front. So I'm just going to take my Stampin' Seal and hopefully get it to roll. There we go. I'm just putting a little Stampin' Seal right directly on the panel that I've got all stamped and ready to go. And then I'm going to take my ribbon and fold it in a little V. And we're just going to adhere it on with the Stampin' Seal. And then before I stick everything down for good, I'm just going to check it and make sure that I've got enough of it peeking out that I want. I think I'm going to stretch it and do a little bit more. So that's the one nice thing about using Stampin' Seal with the ribbon rather than liquid glue or something like that, is that you can actually peel it back up and move things around if you get something placed in a spot where you don't like it, or you decide, like I did, that you need a little bit more. You can always move things around and stick it back down. All right, sentiment done. Let me grab a couple Stampin' Dimensionals. And again, when I put the Stampin' Dimensionals on, I'm gonna make sure that I catch a little bit of the paper on either side, just because if you stick it only to the ribbon, sometimes it doesn't hold very well. And then your ribbon and your sentiment are, you know, laying in the envelope, and the rest of your card is not. So, all right. Stuck the sentiment on, and I see that I put everything up a little higher on my original card, but that's okay. They're all handmade, so you get to do whatever you want on each one. Then I have got some of these are actually called festive pearls, I think is what they're called in the catalog. They have the wrong name on them. They're listed as red and green adhesive back pearls, and that's not the name of the catalog. They're festive pearls. And so we've got red, I think it's real red, mint macaron, silver, and gold in these. And they are, again, available in the upcoming July to December mini catalog. So again, these will all be available starting on the 1st. And we're just going to add a couple of the little gold pearls. And I love the size of these. They're small and yet sparkly, and just pretty. Just adding a couple of them here sort of randomly around the card front. And that's it for the card front. On the inside of the card, it kept it pretty simple as well. I've got basic white cardstock. This is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And again, all the measurements will be out on my blog tomorrow, and I will link it up in the description of the video, so you'll be able to find the all the details about what I use, cardstock cuts and all that sort of thing out there tomorrow. And I've got the sentiment is from the Very Best Occasions stamp set, and I'm going to try to stamp it straight. That's probably not very straight. So the minute I set that down, I went, I don't think that's going to be right, and it wasn't. So we'll try it again. That one's better. All right, and again, using Mossy Meadow for the ink on that one. And I've got a little piece that I trimmed away from the card front. And I keep losing all my adhesives because I have junk everywhere. It's a little Stampin' Seal. We're just going to adhere. This is about 1/2 inch wide. It's, again, just a little piece that I trimmed off when I was working on the card front. And just going to adhere that to the bottom and snip off the edge. Glad you're enjoying the project and the video, Heidi. I'm glad you're here. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick a good time for everybody because, obviously I have to pick a time that works for me. Okay, what am I doing here? My Stampin' Seal, I think, is goobered up. It is, in fact, goobered up. I'll fix it later. All right. So we'll switch over to liquid glue because, apparently I must have pulled weird on that one. But anyway, we will fix it. All good. All right. Going to take that and adhere it to the inside of the card and hopefully get it on here straight. And that's it for the card. So super simple on that one. Let me give the quick crease of the bone folder here. So that's it for the card. Pretty easy. And I think it turned out pretty. I liked it. I don't know. I love that paper, and really the paper does all the work on it. I didn't have to do much. So, all right, ahead of time, I did a little die cutting for the tag, and I used, again, the largest of the kind of squared off or more rectangular looking tags from the TaylorMade Tags dies. And I used basic white cardstock, and then I cut another little piece of that pretty Wonderful World Designer Series paper. And this measures about 1 3/4 by 3 3/8. So 1 3/4 wide by 3 3/8 tall. And we are just going to adhere these two pieces together. Again, I normally use Stampin' Seal, but whatever, I messed something up with that one. And we'll stick the two together. And I basically just lined it up so that it was inside the dots and tried to get it even around the edge with the dots. Now, obviously up here, I didn't do anything, but just tried to get it even with the edges. So, all right, let me make sure this is stuck down and straight. All right, next up, I used my blending brush again, and this is a piece of basic white cardstock, and this is cut to 1 1/2 by 2 7/8. And I've got my blending brush here and hopefully my ink, Orchid Oasis ink. And we're just going to do a little bit, kind of that same effect. We're going to ink it a little bit, go over here, brush it off, and then try to have it be a little bit darker towards the bottom and a little lighter as we go up towards the top. I didn't bother to mask this off because it was pretty small and I thought it might be kind of more of a hassle than it was worth. And you know, as y'all know, I'm kind of a lazy stamper, so anything that I can do to make it be easy, that's what I do. And so I thought this worked okay for the tag. Coordinated with it, but wasn't exactly like it. All right, I think we're going to call that good for the blending. Close up this ink pad and grab the Mossy Meadow ink pad. And I used one of the other flower images from the Wonderful World stamp set. It's a little bit smaller, and this one is Daffodil. And again, Mossy Meadow ink. We're just going to ink it up and stamp it over the tag, maybe. There we go. And we've got that pretty image on there. The next thing that I did was grab some Stampin' Dimensionals, maybe, if I can find those. They're right in front of me, and I totally did not even see them. Like I said, I have stuff everywhere today. I don't know. Too many things. All right, just grabbing a couple Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're just going to adhere this to the tag. And originally I'd started off doing it kind of offset. I thought maybe that would be a look, and I decided I didn't like that look. Sorry about that. Hopefully y'all are back. Got a phone call. All right. So sticking the two pieces of the tag together. And then I've got another piece of basic white cardstock, and we're just going to stamp the sentiment in it. Sentiment, here we go. In Versamark ink. There we go. Oy, what a mess. And I've got gold embossing powder, and we're going to heat emboss this as well. So I've got the little Enjoy from the Cup of Tea stamp set. We're just going to stamp that on basic white and sprinkle it with gold embossing powder and do a little heat embossing on that. All right, oop, that's a really not good image. Let's try that again. It looks like I must have rocked it or double stamped it or something. That didn't turn out well. All right. Try to do better this time around. If not, we have the back side of the paper we can do too. All right, let's try this again. Sprinkle it with gold embossing powder. Yep, that one's better. All right. Then I'm going to grab my heat tool again. Give it a second to heat up. Get my embossing powder well out of the way so that I don't end up exploding that everywhere. And see if it's ready. Let me work on this one and we'll heat emboss that one, even though it doesn't really need it, but because I made a mess. There we go. It's starting to turn. There it goes. All right. So again, just waiting for it to get smooth and shiny, and then that one's done. So, all right. And we're going to grab one of the Stylish Shapes dies. That's what I'm like, Stylish Shapes what, Amy? Stylish Shapes dies. It's the smallest of the circle dies. Just going to grab that, and I'm going to do a little die cutting here with that. All right, sentiment is done, and let me stick that to the tag with a couple little Stampin' dimensionals here. You could use a whole one or 2 halves like I did, whatever your preferred is, or you can use minis if you like those better. We're just going to stick this right down here next to the flower, and then we're going to grab some of that pretty ribbon. Again, this is available starting on the 1st of July in the new mini catalog, and then I've got one of the embossed treat bags from the annual catalog, and they're really easy. I mean, they're all put together for you. All you have to do is pop it out and stand it, put your little treat inside, and the bag is all done. So then we're going to take a little bit of the ribbon and just run it through the center here on the tag, the little hole in the tag, pull it through the opening, and we're going to attempt to tie a reasonable bow, which sometimes I can do a good job at and sometimes not as well. But we'll give it a whirl, see what I can do here on camera. And if it's a total mess, then, again, I can always just retie it. So, all right. So starting out, tying a little bit of a bow here. And we'll be all done with the project for today. So again, all the details will be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com, and I will link it up in the video description, so you should be able to find it pretty easily once the blog post goes live around 8 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. All right, let me do a little snip in here with my ribbon scissors. Try to trim these up a little bit. All right, and that's it for the gift bag. So again, super easy. Super easy card, super easy gift bag, so you're all set. All right, so that's it for today. So thanks again for joining. Sorry that I was kind of a mess and, missing my heat tool and making a mess of some of the stamping and whatever, but thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Don't forget free shipping on all orders of $75 or greater today, only from Stampin' Up, so make sure that you are, and I totally realized that I didn't even turn my lights on. I am definitely a mess today. So, all right. So thanks again for joining today. I appreciate you being here. I will plan to be live at my normal time, 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, and then 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Tuesday, here out on Facebook. So YouTube, 2 o'clock Eastern time Friday, and Facebook, 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesdays. So we'll chat with y'all soon.